Today on the PIO podcast, I would like to introduce Molly Hart. She's a spokesperson for AAA, the auto group. She leads strategy and messaging for one of the most recognized and trusted brands in the country, especially during high impact moments like severe weather, major travel holidays, and fluctuating gas prices. Molly sits at the intersection of data, media, and public trust, helping millions of members navigate travel and safety with clear and timely information. We're going to talk about a lot of information, media strategy, what public sector communicators can learn from private sector playbook. Molly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Molly, before we get too deep into this, I'm not sure all of our listeners would know what AAA is. So can you talk about what the AAA Auto Group is?
Absolutely. So many people know AAA because of our roadside assistance, our tow truck technicians who come help people who are stranded on the side of the road. But there are many other things that AAA does. We have travel. We have travel agents that can help you prepare and plan for a great trip. We also have insurance. And actually, I have my own home and auto insurance with AAA. I hadn't before I started, and now I do, and I love it. We also offer different financial services for people. And so there's a lot of different things that AAA does that people aren't always aware of.
You know, I wasn't aware that they did insurance anymore. So that's something new to me. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. So Molly, first, as a spokeswoman for AAA, the auto group, what does that role really look like on a daily basis for you?
Well, it's a great question, and it's never the same any day. As you can imagine right now with the war in Iran, I am doing a lot of interviews about gas prices and how it might affect us here in the United States. But there are different times when I'm also talking about whether it's Thanksgiving travel, how many people are flying or driving, safety tips. We also, that's Thanksgiving, end of year, Memorial Day, 4th of July. I talk all about the travel and how to be safe while you're on the roads or if you're flying. There's other times when I'm talking about our slow down, move over law here in Illinois, which is when you see law enforcement or emergency vehicles or tow truck technicians on the side of the road helping someone, it is the law to slow down and move over into the other lane. In the summer, I promote and kick off the 100 Deadliest Days for teenagers, which happens during the summer. They're out of school, they're driving to work, they're also probably not getting enough sleep. And so we put together a lot of safety tips for the parents and for the teenagers to know to be safe drivers.
Awesome. That's great. You know, all those campaigns it's so worthwhile. And I know the move over, slow down and move over law in Illinois is very important. I've had several colleagues that have died in the line of duty in Illinois because of people not moving over, especially troopers. Just tragic. So
It's
I want
heartbreaking.
to talk. Yeah, I want to talk about a summer campaign you guys have coming up. Crashes hit different when they happen to you.
Yes,
So it focuses on speeding and impairment and distraction.
correct.
What sparked the campaign?
So we actually kicked it off last summer. Um, and and this campaign is never going to end. This has a shelf life because it's important and it's something that people do every single day, whether it is speeding, whether it is distracted driving, using your cell phone, impaired driving, not using the seatbelt. These are four consistent and the top reasons people are in fatal car accidents. Nobody wakes up thinking that they're going to be a part of a fatal crash that day. Risky habits turn ordinary moments into tragedies, and the consequences of, as we know, ripple far beyond the driver who makes that decision or choice. Crashes can't claim the lives of innocent drivers, and we're not drivers, bicyclists, pedestrians. All of these things are preventable, and that is why we launched this campaign.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, every one of those is important. And, you know, it's so easy. You know, we have technology and all that technology moves quicker than laws do or common sense in most cases. The cell phone, which was a great tool, but then it puts so much technology into such a little device. And then we said, well, go drive around with it. And, you know, now people are looking at them. They're not paying attention. And you had a vehicle that's a half a ton or a ton driving down the road and somebody's looking at their cell phone, that accident is just waiting to happen.
You're right. It is waiting to happen. And again, it's preventable. And, I've seen different videos of people on Zoom meetings while they're driving, and it just makes my heart palpitate. Like, no, don't do that.
I can't imagine anybody. I mean, I can imagine it because I believe it. It's just common sense stuff like that. Just it's mind boggling.
Yeah. And I mean, how about how many years ago when seatbelts weren't even a law? And, now they are. Hardly anyone, I shouldn't say hardly anyone, many people, that is the norm. The first thing they do is they get in the car, they put on their seatbelt. But that was a long road to get that seatbelt legislation passed and for people to realize it's the law and you need to adopt.
And what do you know what the percentage is now? Is it 94, 95% of the population are wearing seatbelts right now on average?
Don't have that information offhand.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious about it because I remember when I was doing traffic safety stuff and we were doing traffic enforcement grant stuff, we were doing it, we started out in the afternoons and then it went to nighttime because it falls off as you get later in the evening. People don't wear their seatbelts as they're impaired and stuff like that. And add impairment, no seatbelt, you're going to have a fatal crash at some point.
Yes, you're correct.
So, Molly, let's talk about when you're leading a campaign such as Crashes Hit Different and it's about a behavior change. What does your role look like from concept to launch?
From concept to launch, we always start obviously internally. And as we just discussed, we were seeing these troubling trends and we felt like we needed to do something about this to educate the public about these four things. So, we first worked with our Foundation for Traffic Safety. They are amazing. They do amazing research to get the data so that we could, as you know, when you're working with the media, they want some facts and some statistics. Well, we're working with them to hone and cull all the powerful statistics, which are unfortunate because they can be high. But we also recognize there was a disconnect between awareness and action. Drivers know these behaviors are dangerous, but too many still engage. And because consequences feel abstract, thinking it's not going to happen to me. No one wakes up thinking they're going to get in a fatal car accident. A car.
Right. Absolutely. Molly, I just checked real quickly on NITSTA. The average is 91.2% for 2025. So
I
not too
take that
bad.
as I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah, not bad. And I'm sure it depends on what part of the country you're in too.
Very
Absolutely.
true. Yeah.
All right. So, where are we at? Oh, summer travel. Let's talk about summer travel. We're coming up to that soon. It leads into heavy traffic, high crash risk. How do you time and position your messaging so it lands when people are actually planning that trip before they get in the car?
So as I shared, we do big Memorial Day travel. We work with an outside firm that tracks all the different numbers of how many people are getting plane, how many people are going to be going down the road. Memorial Day is pretty much a high tide drive time. People are going to their lake house or their cabin or whatnot. So as we put together that press release, we really focus in on um, the statistics in the numbers of, if you're getting on the road, we talk about speeding and that even if you go 10 minutes over the speed limit, it's not going to get you there anywhere faster. There's other reasons why. And we talk about wearing the seatbelt. So we factor in almost these four things from Crashes Hit Different. We combine that into our messaging.
Okay, great. And are you so how does the you got I've seen some videos that have come out from AAA over the last several years. How do they work those in there? Where are they getting them from? Is this a advertising company that's putting those together for you?
We have a great social media team that puts together a lot of these different types of videos. And then, yeah, it's pretty much in house, as a matter of
Oh, it's
fact.
in-house.
And
Excellent.
we've got a great team to do it.
Okay, great. So
Let me
AAA is
give you
off.
that. We also will, outsource if we are going to be on the roads and blocking off a road to do some of the footage that we want to get in. We use a firm video and all that to help us get that.
Right, right. Okay, so let me ask. So AAA is often quoted in the media about travel forecasting gas prices, and I always thought that was an interesting thing that they asked AAA about gas prices. How did that happen? How did you guys become the authority for gas prices? And I'm not saying the authority, the person that everybody went to for gas prices.
Right, and as I just shared, this week, I've been busy talking about gas prices because of what's
Yeah.
going on in Iran. So, I've been with AAA for 6 years now. We've been doing gas prices forever, and to be honest, I don't know how this all initiated, but you are right. What is so great about working for AAA is that we are such a trusted resource. We do not speculate. We do not, I have probably said so many times, I don't have that crystal ball when reporters are asking me, well, is it going to go to $5 a gallon? And I'm like, I can't, I don't have that information. I wouldn't give you false information. So, as much as they want that hard number, sometimes you have to deflect and just share that this is what's happening right now. Here are things that you can do to save money on gas and give them other options of how to talk about what's going on.
And that goes to driver safety then too. If you're telling people not to do fast starts and to, to minimize their speed, lower it a little bit and have your tires filled fully with air and all that stuff goes to gas mileage, that's going to help extend their gas that they are spending more money on.
Right, exactly. And just speaking of the tires and everything, that's another thing. We at one of our car care locations, I always go, and then we have one here nearby where I live. And I will go there and I'll invite all the media, and it's a kickoff to the winter about all the things that you need to do to make sure that your car is safe for winter weather driving, or actually even for summer weather driving before you're going to take off for Memorial Day, and, having the tire pressure checked, making sure the windshield washer fluid is topped off, and making sure your windshield wipers are working. People forget about that wiper in the back of the car, and those always need to be replaced. I mean, the guys at the car care location, I was like, people forget about that one. But all the things that you need to do so you can get from point A to point B safely without having to pull over to the side of the road and needing roadside assistance.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's amazing how easy it is for people to forget because we live in a big metropolitan area that they think, well, I don't need to worry about, the winter because they'll always clear the roads. And I go back to when was it like 2014 when the city was shut down for 24 hours and the cars were all abandoned on the roads
Yep.
because there
God.
were a lot of people out there that didn't have gas and they didn't know what to do. And, it's interesting. So, and then then you think of people out farther way out there that they're only a 2-lane road and you've
Yeah.
got to have, proper clothing. You got to have a blanket in the car. You may want to have some water on there, some snack or something because you don't know how long you're going to be there. And,
Exactly. We
you know,
talk about that emergency road kit too. And, I would say sometimes the reporters I work with is like, Yeah. And I'm like, we need to keep telling people because either people are listening to you for the first time or they forget. And that's
right,
one of the things I say to reporters when I'm doing an interview is, you know, before you even get in the car, check that emergency kit. And you named a lot of the things that should be in that emergency kit because, as you said, whether it's winter or some other weather that makes you have to pull off to the side of the road, you don't necessarily know how long you're going to be there.
right, right. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so let's talk about this. So you talked about pitching stories sometimes to the media. In a market like Chicago, as competitive as, what makes a difference between getting the media to cover it and kind of being ignored?
That's a great question. And it can be challenging sometimes because, the Chicago market is competitive. So it comes down to several different things. But number one is one of the first things I do in the morning is I look at all the Chicago news, what's going on, and to see if AAA has a voice in it, whether it's someone, aggressive driving and a bad accident on, whether it's the winter weather conditions, whatever it may be that they're tracking. I will reach out to whether it's the assignment editors or some of the reporters I know, offering, if they would like to, I'd be happy to be interviewed on that topic. So it's so that's one of the things I do. And again, it's down to um, like if I'm pitching a safety story, I try to tie it to real trends, whether it's a spike in crashes, holiday travel surge, severe weather, anything that can make us stand out a little bit different. But I am also I'm really lucky to work for AAA that has such an upstanding reputation. And again, you also need to work on how you're going to frame it. How are you going to pitch it? What is the actionable item? Those things are important to a reporter.
Right, right. What role does data play in shaping that message versus storytelling and emotion?
It depends on what the topic is. Like as I mentioned, the 100 deadliest days, and it's summer where there are the highest crashes for teenagers, both fatality and just a crash. And so when it's something like that, I do have some numbers I can share with them, but it's also turning to them who may be a parent, an aunt, an uncle, or whatever, have teenage drivers, that story is going to resonate with them and they want to help promote this, unfortunate time when teenagers are not necessarily focused on driving, but driving with a bunch of friends in the car. So it depends on what the topic is. But again, with regards to car crashes, drinking and driving, always having data and statistics definitely is what the porters want to have as well.
Cool. Molly, what platforms have been most effective in amplifying the summer safety messages for you guys?
We have a great social media team, which I said, so they do TikTok and they do Facebook and, we were tweeting as well. And they are just so creative and really thoughtful about how to drive home these messages in a way that doesn't feel like you're being lectured, you're not being reprimanded. So it's that fine tuning of how to shape the message where people will listen and break through the noise.
Very nice. I like that. Molly, beyond impressions, how do you measure whether the campaign is actually influencing behavior?
Again, I keep saying it's a good question. It's a good question. And you know what? It's really hard to answer. There are things that we can do. We, can do a survey post the campaign to see where people are at and what they're emitting to or not emitting to, and then do a post one. But it's also, we also track what our coverage is on a certain campaign. Crashes hit different. And how many viewers did we reach? How many open emails were done? So it's hard. And I think any company would agree with that when you're trying to change behavior, how to track it, it's challenging.
Yeah. I know, anecdotally is always great to track it because it's just based off of what was going on. If you get less accidents that weekend, maybe your message got out or maybe you just got lucky. Sometimes it's you don't know. But having at least some measurements or things to look at least that gives you an idea. I like that.
Yeah.
So for public sector PIOs, the people in the police departments and fire departments, that those group, what can they learn from AAA as it builds a seasonal safety campaign?
They are most welcome to reach out to me at any time. Like I said, our Foundation for Traffic Safety has amazing amount of data on so many different topics that can be so beneficial as they're trying to educate and promote safety. I enjoy partnering, whether it's, with the Illinois Department of Transportation or the Sheriff's Office or the tollway. Together, I think we have a stronger voice. So we always welcome that opportunity.
Excellent. Molly, if a communications director had to launch a safety campaign tomorrow with limited resources, what would you tell them to prioritize first?
The first thing, you need to get the internal buy-in first. You need to make sure that all the people who are going to be playing a role in that campaign are unified on the talking points, unified on what the approach and how you are going to share it publicly. You certainly want to create simple and consistent messages so everyone from front line to the person in front of the camera or the public information officer are speaking off the same page. You want to be consistent. And then you just want to make sure that you use your internal channels to send campaign summaries, frequently asked questions, things like that are going to be able to equip the staff to be prepared to talk about it.
I like that. So, all right, we're in a region where traffic, weather, and travel risk, they really slow traffic down. What does an effective safety communication look like to you?
We always encourage for those who are traveling, especially during the holidays, summer holidays, 4th of July, Memorial Day, or anytime. If you want to get to your destination by 2 o'clock, and let's say it is 3 hours away, book in an hour on each way just in case something does happen. You need roadside assistance. So you're not going to speed to get there quickly. Those are things that we certainly want to communicate and get that message across. What we also do is, to help people along, they can use our AAA mobile app so they can look for gas stations on the way there, not the driver, the passenger, so they can find the place that has the cheapest gas prices, but also to give you time to prepare for that type of thing. We talked about always having that emergency kit. So there's many things that we do during summer travel to help them get to their destination safely. And, you know, hopefully it does land on some people's ears and they will follow through.
Right. And the truth of the matter is slowing down will get you there safer. I mean, if anybody's ever used a map program and you put in where you got to go, it's going to tell you how long it's going to take. And it does not matter if you're doing 60 or 80, you're only going to shave off maybe 3 or 4 minutes in time if you go
Exactly.
faster. So you're really
But
not
people
saving any time.
don't realize that. And it's a
Yeah.
hard message to get across because they don't necessarily compute that. And one
No.
other thing that we always do too is it's best to get up and go in the morning. Get up and go. As you go, if you leave later in the day, you're going to hit just midday traffic, rush hour, and all that. The best way to get to your destination and try to avoid some of that traffic is go in the morning.
Right. Do you guys have anything planned for the 250th anniversary of the country for 4th of July weekend?
We have not necessarily talked about that yet, or if they have, I'm not aware of it. I'll get back to you
Okay.
on it.
Okay. Very good. Is there a question I should have asked? And if so, how would you have answered it?
I think one thing that's fun to share is that, Route 66 is celebrating their centennial. And here in Chicago, they're moving the kickoff point to Navy Pier. So it's going to be pier to pier, California here. And so we're doing some fun activities with
Wow,
at
I didn't
Navy
know that.
Pier to promote it. And of course, AAA's role is going to talk about the safety aspect of driving and all of that. But it's a really fun one to be a part of.
Well, that's awesome. I love that. That's very cool. I like that. All right, let's go to some rapid fire questions.
All right.
Texting or talking?
Talking,
Movies or books?
books,
Coffee, tea, or energy drink?
coffee,
Adult drink of choice?
wine,
Cats or dogs?
dogs.
Do you have a favorite go-to karaoke song?
You would never want to hear me sing.
What would be your superpower if you could have one?
When you sent this to me, to bestow good health on everyone.
Oh, that would be a good one. That's a new one. Nobody's ever said that. I like
Thank
that.
you.
That's awesome. If you could instantly become an expert in one thing, what would it be?
Okay, you're just going to laugh. I needlepoint. I've been needlepointing for 30 years and I'd like to learn new stitches and I haven't. I'd like to be an expert needlepointer.
Awesome. Ask permission or beg for forgiveness?
Ask for permission.
Place you'd most like to travel to?
Gosh, you know what? My dad passed several years ago, but my mom has taken my family and myself and all together between brothers, brothers and sisters, spouses, nieces and nephews. We total 20. And she's taken us down the Danube from Budapest to Prague. She took us on
Wow.
safari in Africa. We were just in Egypt last year. I'm Irish. I've never been to Ireland. Come on.
It's awesome. Oh my goodness. All right. So what's your favorite way to relax after a long day?
It would be to read for a while and then turn on the TV and needlepoint.
If you could sit down with any historical figure to have coffee with and talk, who would it be? Living or dead?
Okay, so that's a good question too. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, well, Ernest Hemingway, maybe, because I read, but nah. Then I was thinking, I love Pope Francis. I'm Catholic, but he's still alive. But I think it would be great to have a conversation with him as well. And actually,
Awesome.
my great great grandfather was the first mayor of Chicago. So I would love to have a conversation with him about what that was all about.
Oh, that would be interesting. Oh
Right.
boy. Yeah, that would be some history right there. Molly, what key points you'd like listeners to take from today's interview?
I think the key point is to know that AAA is invested in traffic safety, that we are happy to partner and work on different campaigns to ensure that everyone on the road, anyone getting on a plane, is getting there safely to their destination.
Excellent. As we wrap this up, is there a piece of wisdom or a motto that you live by?
One day at a time.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one. How can people best reach you if they want to connect or follow up on anything they've heard from you?
Sure, thank you so much. So my email address is as in Molly, A as in Apple, H as in Harry, A as in Apple, R as in Robert, T as in Tom, so M-A Hart, at A as in Apple, C as in Charlie, G as in George, .aaa.com. So M-A Hart at acg.aa.
And I will add all that in the show notes. Molly, thank
Thank
you very much.
Really?